The refugee ship limped into orbit above Epsilon 9, hull scorched, engines coughing their last breath. Among its frightened, exhausted passengers was Carnivorous, a Zenari widow with pale violet skin and bioluminescent strands of hair that pulsed faintly as she cradled her sleeping child. Torn from their homeworld after a Drilaxian raid, Carnivorous had survived by sheer instinct, fleeing through burning forests, boarding overcrowded evac ships, and enduring days of silence where once her life had been full of songs. Now they floated above a human colony world, the only species known to accept Zenari refugees. But rumors followed humans, whispers carried across space, that they were violent, carnivorous apex predators who feigned civility behind teeth made for ripping flesh. Carnivorous clutched her son closer as the boarding hatch hissed open and light flooded in. "Refugees, step forward and be processed. You're safe now." The voice was rough, barking, and behind it stood one of them. The human was tall, so tall and broad-shouldered. His body seemed engineered for war. He wore no helmet, letting his face remain visible. Short, dark hair, a jagged scar across one cheek, and those infamous forward-facing eyes, predator eyes. Her son whimpered. "It's okay," Carnivorous whispered, not believing it herself. The human's eyes flicked to her. "Ma'am, this way," he said, his voice softer now. He extended a hand, not a claw as she had imagined, but a calloused, steady hand. She recoiled. His expression didn't change, but he stepped back, giving her space. "I'm Lieutenant Grant Varro. I'm here to help you settle." Carnivorous said nothing. She simply held her child tighter, her gaze locked on his teeth. He didn't smile. The settlement was nestled between jagged hills and copper-leaved trees. Modular housing, advanced filtration domes, and security walls gave it the appearance of a fortress. But there were gardens too. Children. Laughter. Still, Carnivorous barely slept. Varro had been assigned as her sector liaison. That meant she saw him nearly every day, delivering supplies, checking on infrastructure, and making small talk she did her best to avoid. She wasn't alone in her fear. The other Zenari whispered too. They eat flesh. They turn violent when threatened. They smell fear. Carnivorous believed it all. So, when her son Ailey vanished one afternoon while she napped for the first time in weeks, she panicked. She searched the entire housing module, the neighboring gardens, and even the perimeter fence. And then terror. She saw Ailey climbing into the back of a patrol vehicle, one of the human ones. And next to him, Grant Varro. Carnivorous sprinted, feet slipping on the gravel, breath catching. She didn't even hear herself screaming until Varro turned, alarmed. "What are you doing to him?" Ellie looked up, confused. "Mama. He gave me berries." Carnivorous snatched the boy into her arms and backed away. Varro raised both hands, palms out. "They're edible," he said calmly. "Our scanners verified them. He was just curious. I made sure he was safe." She shook her head. "Don't touch him." Varro said nothing. He didn't argue. He simply nodded. "I'm sorry. It won't happen again." Carnivorous didn't sleep that night at all. Weeks passed. Ailey grew restless in isolation. Carnivorous didn't have answers to all his questions. He wanted to know what ice cream was. He wanted to try baseball. He wanted to run with the human children. Carnivorous kept him close. Too close. And then came the fire. A supply drone crashed just outside the northern ridge, igniting a brush fire that roared toward the settlement with frightening speed. The outer defense systems failed to trigger, and the flames were at their doorstep in minutes. People ran, screamed. The evacuation sirens howled. Carnivorous grabbed Ailey and ran for the shelter, but smoke clouded her eyes, and heat closed around her like a smothering hand. She tripped, her legs burned, her lungs screamed for air. And then the sound of boots. Strong arms. Growling voice. "I've got you." She looked up through smoke-blurred eyes and saw Varro, face streaked with soot, eyes wild, but not with rage. With urgency. He hoisted both her and Ailey over his shoulder, moving like a machine through the chaos, leaping over burning brush, crashing through debris, never stopping, never slowing. He set them down inside the shelter. Other Zenari stared. Some backed away. Varro ignored them. He crouched before Ailey. "You okay, kiddo?" Ailey coughed but nodded. Then, to Cariel's horror, he reached forward and hugged the human. "Thank you," he said. Varro froze, then returned the hug gently. That night everything changed. Cariel watched Ailey sleep, his cheeks still smudged with ash. Her thoughts were conflicted, chaotic. The human had saved them, carried them like kin, risked his life without hesitation. But he could have left them. Why didn't he? The next morning, she knocked on Varro's door. He opened it surprised. "I wanted to say thank you," she said. "You're welcome," he replied gently. She looked down. "And I owe you an apology. I feared you would hurt my child." He gave a sad smile. "That's not the first time I've heard that. Won't be the last." "Why help us?" she asked. He exhaled. "Because I know what it's like to lose everything." He paused, then gestured for her to come in. She hesitated, then stepped inside. His quarters were surprisingly simple. Books lined the shelves. Photographs of Earth. One image showed a woman and a girl. "My wife and daughter," he said. "We lost them during the siege of Thessar Prime." Cariel's breath caught. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "We were stationed there for peacekeeping. No one expected the Drilaxians to bomb civilians." Her heart clenched. "The Drilaxians killed my mate," she said quietly. Their shared grief sat between them like a silent third presence. Varro looked at her. "I didn't save you because you're Zenari. I saved you because you're people. Because you and your son deserve to live. That's all there is to it." She nodded. From that day things changed. She allowed Ailey to attend community play sessions. Varro was always nearby, watching, laughing, making sure the human children played gently. The Zenari adults were slower to accept him. But Cariel defended him. She spoke to others, shared her story. Slowly, others began to see. When predators stalked the settlement perimeter, native beasts the size of hovercars, it was Varro and his team who drove them off. When a pipeline burst, he was the first into the toxic fumes, sealing the breach. He became their protector, not because he was ordered to, but because he chose to be. One night, Ailey came home with a bruise on his arm. Cariel worried. "Who did this?" "Human boy named Darren pushed me," he said. "We were arguing." She was furious. She stormed to Varro's office. But when she arrived, Varro was already with Darren and his parents, mediating, calm but firm. "No one lays hands on anyone here," he said. "Doesn't matter what species. We protect each other. We learn from each other." The boy apologized. Ailey accepted. Varro caught Cariel's eye. She nodded, silently grateful. As months passed, peace settled like morning dew. Cariel found herself walking beside Varro more often, sharing stories, even jokes. She cooked Zenari dishes for him. He taught her Earth idioms. Ailey called him Uncle Grant. And the whispers that once branded him a threat faded into reverent respect. Then came the delegation.